TV. I know I'm a few minutes early. That's okay, though. That's all right. We're not going to be upset about that. We're going to be happy that I'm a few minutes early this morning. It's actually a great day. It's a great, great, great day. I want to touch on something this morning. I was listening to various people talk about, Elon Musk leaving Doge and, leaving the government and all that good stuff. And now he's crying about the budget and, kill the bill. And I heard some people on CNBC cry that, he wasn't able to do it. He went up against the swamp and the swamp won, wah, 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 wah. I want you to think about this. He spent hundreds of millions of dollars to buy the presidency, and he did. What did he get out of it? He was able to kill certain departments that were investigating him and his businesses. There's nothing to cry about. He still makes, $8 million a day off of all the government contracts that he has. He was able to gain unbridled access to all government systems, or almost all government systems, to which there have been reports that supposedly others have been trying to hack into using the same accounts that were set up. But that's not for me to investigate. I say this because it's an example how when you don't define enough goes to your head, or too much goes to your head. There could have been cuts. There could have been contracts that could have gone away. But they went about it wrong. You can't approach everything like a bull in a china shop just because you think that's what works. That's been his MO his whole career. Sometimes you have to be more strategic in what you're doing and how you do it. So if I was to go into the government and I wanted to cut certain things, I would first start looking at how are government contracts awarded. What government contracts were awarded with almost no pomp and circumstance, meaning they didn't necessarily go through the true procedures that were set forth. But I'm not going to go through and just say, I'm going to fire everybody. Firing every public government employee, that moves out contractors, moves out military, firing every government employee would only save the government 4.7%. 4.7%. Dare I say 4.7% is not the problem. It's the spending that's the problem. So if I'm going to fix spending, I'm not going to worry about what's happening down here in the process. I'm going to go to the beginning of the process and start fixing things there. First, you plug the hole that you think exists. Then you worry about cleaning up the mess. See what I mean? Do that. But gaining access to government systems, closing agencies, firing people, some agencies that literally pay for themselves, meaning the money they get back pays for the agency, and not by a little bit. We're talking about by multiples. So there was some shadiness, in my humble opinion, but I'm not going to sit here and let people kind of whitewash everything that happened with Doge. It was a mess. It was a steaming pile of, just saying. So am I going to sit here and cry for some billionaire that was able to go and have his way, was able to work outside of government constraints to be able to pull off what he did? Yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about that. The number started off at $2 trillion. We're going to save the government $2 trillion. Okay, it's a big number, but never explained how he was going to get there. Never explained how he was going to get there. So did I ever think that he was going to get there? No. Never thought that. Where are the bulk of the costs? Well, if you build a military plane, that's going to cost a few $billion. And probably rightfully so, right? If you're going to look at things, you look at how the contracts are written. That's what you look at. That's what I'm looking at. So, just thinking about how that works, and I'm kind of like, you got to be real with this. So you got to be, at some point, you've got to get real with this. And I wasn't seeing that, they were getting real. They want to whine and cry about, again, some billionaire who bought the presidency, who was given the reins for 3 months to do whatever he wanted. And by the way, we were never told if he still has access, if Doge still has access to all those government systems. We were never told if they still have copies of the data. That should give everybody pause that some president came in and gave away access to all of our data. Now, I want you to stop and think about this. How often does X get hacked? How often do you hear about an account on X being hacked? A lot. And so if you own a company that's hacked that much, how am I supposed to trust that what you're doing is secure? How do I get there from here? I don't see how. That could just be me, but I don't think so. I think there are a lot of people that are wondering, well, yeah, you had access to all our data. What did you do? Do you know what it's going to take to root out all of that? It's going to take a massive amount of work to root out what they had access to, what they may or may not have done. You're going to have to perform an audit. Because basically, the US government was hacked from the inside, right? They weren't even hacked. They were given the keys. So how do you figure all that out? How do you get there from here? The other question I have is, remember they were talking about all these little teeny boppers that were given jobs and how, they might have messed up and all that good stuff. What about the other people that they gave jobs to at Doge? Not everybody was a teeny bopper. You run an operation like this, there's always somebody that knows how to get stuff done, that knows how to do things. So I think our concern really should be focused on how do we clean that up? I can almost guarantee that it will not be cleaned up during this current regime, which means that it's going to be left to the next regime to clean it up. I strongly suggest that you vote for people that recognize that. Now, what else happened? Variational raised $1.5 million to build a zero-fee perpetual futures trading platform on Arbitrum. It's a big deal because it's on Arbitrum. This is like the second or third deal or project that I've heard launching on Arbitrum. And I have to ask the question, is Arbitrum, as a builder's platform, making a comeback? I'm just saying. That's the news that I got out of that. Am I worried about their achieving $100 million in volume and 87% annualized yield for its OLP vault? No, I don't. Because I'm not going to get involved with them until I see something. But they do have backing from Coinbase Venture, so they sound like they might be on the up and up. But it's the build out on Arbitrum that has me going, So yeah, paying attention to that one. Galaxy Digital reports $39 billion in crypto collateralized debt across CeFi, DeFi, and corporate treasuries, with interconnected risks, and $12.7 billion in corporate crypto loans, exacerbating systemic vulnerabilities. Now that's interesting. I told you Bitcoin is going to be used differently than all other coins. And Galaxy Digital has a report out that says, hey, there could be some not so good stuff going on. We might want to look at this. Systemic vulnerabilities. That's interesting. I don't know if it's interesting to you, but it is interesting to me. What are the vulnerabilities? The exposure is about 39 billion. Just saying. Centralized finance and decentralized finance, corporate treasuries, and interconnected risks. Yeah. Something to take a look at. As we start to look at all of these new financial vehicles being introduced into the blockchain space or Web3 space, you have to believe that they're going to come with the same problems, because they're not only mimicking what happens in traditional finance, right? So they're going to come with the same problems. They're going to come with the same problems. And we have to look into that and be mindful of it. We should very much be mindful of it. Just saying. Circle's IPO today, people. Today, CRCL hits the stock market. That's going to be crazy. It's at $31 a share right now, valuing the firm at about $6.9 billion, with BlackRock acquiring 10% off the bat. USDC holding 24.5% of the stablecoin market. You want to know who else is involved? ARK Invest. I think they have a couple of $100 million in that. Those are big moves. Those are big moves. And will BlackRock go over the 10%? I doubt it. I'm pretty sure they're going to stay right where they are. Voting power, influence, that's all they need. Right? They like to have a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. But just enough to flex if they have to. That's what makes BlackRock so strong. Just saying. The business model is a little bit brilliant. Just saying. Reddit is suing Anthropic, and it's because it scraped over 100,000 posts on Reddit when it wasn't supposed to. There was a deal in place. The deal is over, and they still continue to train Claude on their posts. And they're being sued now. Anthropic is being sued. Centralized exchanges face declining trust due to security flaws. Yeah. We were chatting about it last night. WazirX got hit. Coinbase was hacked. I mean, just all these things just start to add up, and people start to realize, hey, Eddie's right. Maybe non-custodial wallets are the way to go. And then you start thinking about your custodial wallets, that you have to be mindful of those. Which one are you using? How are you using it? All that good stuff. What's the code behind it? How do they make money? You don't create a wallet and you're not making money. I'm sorry. You're going to make money off that wallet. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with you making money because you created a wallet. And the money usually comes from maybe a couple of ads here and there, but it really probably comes from any kind of transaction you do from the wallet, that they probably have some kind of a small deal with one of the on-ramp or off-ramp companies, right? Like Transact would give you a little piece, a little taste of the transaction, and that's pretty much standard, industry standard. So that's what we're looking at. So, sorry, it's still early in the morning, had to do what I got to do. So what are you supposed to do? Well, you know the GMB3, right? Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. Something else you want to do? Become a big bagger. We have our video conference call coming up Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk about a whole bunch of stuff, and it's all about our bags, growing our bags, protecting our bags, starting our bags, rebalancing our bags, everything about investing. And we have that video conference call, live video conference call, once a month. So you might want to join. growmybag.tv/sign-up and choose to be a big bagger. Something else that you get, even when you come just become a bagger, you get access to 9,865 articles and growing. That means in about a week, we're going to hit 10,000. Oh, a week and a half. We'll hit about 10,000. I'm going to keep track of the numbers every day, but that's a lot. We're coming close. We're coming close. That's what this community is about. It's about teaching each other, learning from each other, and learning how to grow our bags. So practice the GMB3, do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. What's up next? We've got U.S. government seizing 145 domains and crypto assets from Biden Cash, a dark web marketplace. Interesting that they chose that name. But still, they're being brought down. What else we have? Africa's cross-border payments projected to hit $1 trillion by 2035. And you wonder why there's so much talk going around about Africa. Yeah. Rare earths, precious metals, all that good stuff. Africa. Just saying. Pay attention to what's going on. A Trump meme coin team deposited $47 million to exchanges, raising concerns over a potential sell-off as the token's price dropped below $11 post the dinner event. Yeah, nobody's surprised. Then what do we have? You've got Amazon investing $10 billion in North Carolina to build data centers. Yeah. They're not playing games. I'm telling you, that's going to be for AWS. So if you're into buying stocks and you're into, the deep in infrastructure, you should be looking at that. They'll create about 500 jobs, off of that. Right. And they'll be competing with Google and Microsoft, of course. Shocker there. And Hutanic says, good morning. Hutanic says that silver looks like it could break out. Not a shock there either. Not a shock. Because precious metals are used for different things. And rare earths are used for different things. And you kind of need to pay attention. Good morning, Mr. Big. What else we have? We've got MEXC investing $36 million in Athena's USDE, making it the fourth largest stablecoin with $5.2 billion circulating supply and 100 million plus in total value locked on that exchange. Wow. Just saying, things are coming. And it sounds like Trump's advisor, Bo Hines, has met with El Salvador's president to discuss Bitcoin collaboration, aligning with El Salvador's 6,198 Bitcoin reserves and crypto education initiatives. Whoa. That's interesting. I want to hear what Bo Hines comes back with. Just saying. Investors remain cautious amid tariff fears, but experts predict that an S&P 500 rally is ahead. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening. But the timing of which is the question. So that's what I'm paying attention to. Anyway, you know what we should do? That's right. We should get into the numbers. We really should get into the numbers. Give me a moment. Gotta fix that. There you go. Let me get my notes out of the way. So we've got Dow futures up by 44, S&P futures up by 5.5, NASDAQ futures up by 22.5. And again, pay attention to that Circle IPO this morning. It hits this morning. And I think it's probably going to be big. Earnings, we've got Broadcom coming out today, Lululemon supposedly. Nobody else that I really care about. You could think about DocuSign, but I'm shocked DocuSign is still in business. How's that sound? This week, today, we get initial jobless claims, U.S. trade deficit numbers, U.S. productivity numbers, and 2 Fed speaks. Pay attention to that Fed speak. Somebody asked last night, are they all kind of in line with what they're saying with regard to, how the Fed should move forward with interest rates? And I'm kind of sitting back and I'm kind of going, I haven't heard anything going up against what Powell, where Powell is going with everything. I find that to be interesting, because a lot of them are saying, yeah, well, this is the perfect wait and see mode. And it's because the uncertainty has not been removed. The uncertainty has not been removed. So to make a move during uncertain times is not prudent. It's not. Now, what is there? The fear and greed index is at 57, down from 52, which is really down from 74. We were riding high last week. We were riding high. Then you got DeFi Llama. We're below 120 in total value locked. I think tomorrow there's going to be a difference, and I think it's going to be driven by the Circle IPO. This is the first IPO of a pure play crypto company going IPO. That's why this is important. Pay attention, folks. Pay attention. Looking at Bitcoin, it's currently at 104,622. Okay, cool. Again, we're still moving sideways. This whole space, we're just moving sideways. We're waiting for some kind of a catalyst. Whether it takes us up or takes us down, not sure yet. Could we get a little bit of a pop from Circle? Somehow, I just don't think so. Can we get a little bit of a pop if we actually cut a deal, a tariff deal? Yeah, we could. But we're at war against the whole world when it comes to tariffs, and we're not doing well with regard to China. And mind you, it's not like China is in the bird seat or the United States is in the bird seat. They're both in bad places. Both countries are in bad places. They're just not meeting well at the negotiation table. Right? That's a problem. Then looking at the big board, I'm sitting back and I'm kind of like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here. This is looking kind of tasty to me, right? Because right now, within that channel, within that band that we're operating, that Bitcoin is operating in, there seems to be a lot of deals popping up. Bitcoin is at 104. It can hit 105, 112 because it has before. And you sit back and you go, well, I can make some money off of that. I can make some money off of BCH, BNB, Sol. Now, I'm not going to hold Sol for any long period of time, but you can't deny that you can make some money off of that. You can definitely make some money off of Sol. Sol can hit 200. Really can. So Sol, BNB, ETH, XRP, ADA, SUI, AVAX, XLM, LTC, maybe even some DOT if you're bold like that. I still say SHIB, and definitely Link. Link is in the $13 range. I would absolutely be all over that. Aave is another one. You can still make coin off of Pepe. There are a lot of opportunities out here. You can make money off of Toncoin. You can make money off of Toncoin. Yeah, I sold and I got some PaxG. That's right. That's what I did. Sui is another one that you can make money off of. Off the top of my head, that's pretty much where I would be right now. I'd have to go do deeper, research into what I would do. Right. Then we've got a conversation going on right now between two big baggers, and one big bagger giving some advice, asking for advice, another one giving advice, the other one saying, no, take no offense, but I'm going to do some research. Exactly. That's exactly how it works. That's exactly how this community works, and I love it. Because what we're saying is, thank you for the information. Now let me go do my job, which is do my own research, know my entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. Let me be sure-footed before I go do something. And this is a whole conversation between big baggers. That's a big deal. That's a very, very, very big deal. This is what we get out of having the big baggers. And being a big bagger is not necessarily about how much money you've got. It's about the mindset that you have. Whether you're making an investment with $1 or $1 million, you can both be big baggers because of your mindset going forward. That's the big deal. And for $120 a year, being a big bagger and what you get out of it, whew, that's a sale. That's a deep, 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 deep discount compared to other places that don't have your best interests at heart. Just saying. And greetings, Turtle Bitcoin. All of you, don't forget to invest in yourself today. Anyway, this is Eddie J on crypto for growmindbag.tv. Hope you like what I'm doing. I'll be back tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Crypto Overflow. And I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do, smash the likes, tell your friends about us, and absolutely, absolutely keep coming back to the community. Everybody, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And please, thank you so much for your trust. I will work for that every day. Everybody, have a great rest of your day. See you tonight. Have a good one. Bye-bye.